Hello, I'm Sakiz, and today I'm going to tell you about something that will make you look at every Wi-Fi router in your home with terror. What happens when the invisible signals that connect us to the world become weapons against our minds? This is the horrifying story of Emma Rodriguez and her family's nightmare with NeuroWave Ultra, a high-speed Wi-Fi system that promised to revolutionize their home internet experience. Instead, it revolutionized something far more precious: an 8-year-old girl's developing brain. This isn't just a story about technology gone wrong. This is about how the very signals we depend on every day might be reshaping our children's minds in ways we never imagined. And once you hear Emma's story, you'll never feel safe around a router again. Are you ready to discover what's really traveling through the air in your home? Let's begin. Dr. Maria Rodriguez was the kind of mother who researched everything. As a neuroscientist at Portland State University, she understood the developing brain better than most parents. So when her 8-year-old daughter Emma complained that their old Wi-Fi was too slow for her online learning games, Maria made what she thought was a responsible decision. "Look at this, honey," Maria showed her husband David the NeuroWave Ultra specifications on her laptop one evening in September 2024. "It's the fastest residential Wi-Fi system available. Emma won't have any lag with her educational programs." The NeuroWave Ultra wasn't just fast, it was revolutionary. The marketing promised brain-optimized frequency distribution and cognitive enhancement through optimized signal delivery. As a neuroscientist, Maria was intrigued by these claims, though she assumed they were mostly marketing hyperbole. David, an IT consultant, was more skeptical. "Do we really need something this powerful? Emma's just 8. How much bandwidth does a kid need?" But Emma had been struggling in school lately. Her teacher mentioned that she seemed distracted during online lessons, often staring blankly at the screen. Maria hoped that eliminating technical frustrations might help her daughter focus better. The installation was impressively thorough. The NeuroWave technician, a quiet man named Marcus, spent nearly 4 hours setting up the system throughout their 2-story home in the Alberta Arts District. The main router was positioned in Emma's room, for optimal signal strength for the primary user, Marcus explained. "This unit operates on proprietary frequencies," Marcus told them as he calibrated the device. "You might notice some adjustment effects in the first few days as your device is optimized to the new signal patterns." Emma was thrilled with the instant improvement in her online games and videos. That first night, she fell asleep with her tablet streaming educational content just 3 feet from the new router, its blue LED casting gentle pulses across her bedroom walls. Maria felt satisfied that she'd made a good investment in her daughter's education. She had no idea she'd just invited something terrible into Emma's developing mind. The changes began subtly, 3 days after the installation. Emma had always been a chatterbox, constantly asking questions, telling elaborate stories about her day, singing songs she'd learned at school. Her curious mind was always racing, always processing, always connecting ideas in delightfully unexpected ways. But that Thursday morning, Emma came downstairs for breakfast and ate her cereal in complete silence. "How did you sleep, sweetheart?" Maria asked, studying her daughter's face. Something was different about Emma's expression, a blankness that hadn't been there before. Emma looked up with eyes that seemed oddly vacant. "Fine," she said, then returned to eating without another word. David exchanged a glance with Maria. Emma never gave one-word answers. At school, Emma's teacher, Mrs. Patterson, noticed the change immediately. "Emma seemed very quiet today," she told Maria during pickup. "During story time, she just sat completely still. Usually, she's raising her hand every few minutes with questions or comments." That evening, Maria tried to engage Emma in their usual bedtime routine, reading together and discussing the story. But Emma showed no interest in the book, no curiosity about the characters, no questions about what might happen next. "Are you feeling okay, Mija?" Maria asked, pressing her hand against Emma's forehead to check for fever. Emma's temperature was normal, but when Maria looked into her daughter's eyes, she felt a chill. It was like looking at a perfectly functional machine rather than the vibrant, curious child she'd tucked in just a week ago. "I'm fine, Mama," Emma said in a voice that was technically correct but somehow emotionally flat. "Can I go to sleep now?" As Maria watched her daughter settle into bed beneath the glow of the NeuroWave router, she felt the first stirring of unease. But she pushed it aside. Children went through phases, she told herself. Emma was probably just tired from adjusting to the new school year. But deep down, Maria's scientific mind was already beginning to notice a disturbing pattern. By the end of the second week, Emma had stopped speaking in complete sentences. "Bathroom," she would say when she needed to leave the dinner table. "Juice," when she was thirsty. "Tired," when it was time for bed. Her vocabulary seemed to be shrinking daily, regressing from the articulate, imaginative speech of an advanced 8-year-old to something resembling a toddler's communication patterns. But even toddlers showed emotion, curiosity, frustration. Emma showed nothing. Maria's scientific training kicked in. She began documenting everything: Emma's daily word count, her behavioral patterns, her sleep cycles, her academic performance. The data painted a terrifying picture. Emma's creativity had vanished entirely. Her drawings, once full of fantastical creatures and rainbow landscapes, became geometric patterns, precise, repetitive, emotionless. When Maria asked her to draw a picture of their family, Emma produced a series of identical rectangles arranged in a grid pattern. At school, Emma's performance became mechanically perfect but completely soulless. She completed assignments with 100% accuracy but showed no comprehension of meaning or context. When Mrs. Patterson asked the class to write a creative story, Emma produced a technically perfect paragraph about a square that moved from point A to point B. Nothing more. Most disturbing of all were Emma's movements. Her gestures had become oddly mechanical, as if she were controlling her body through conscious effort rather than natural instinct. She would sit perfectly still for hours, her eyes focused on nothing, her breathing barely perceptible. "It's like she's been programmed," David whispered to Maria one night after Emma had gone to bed. "She responds to direct commands, but there's nothing spontaneous anymore." Maria had been thinking the same thing, though she hated admitting it. Her daughter was functioning, but functioning like a computer rather than a human being. That night, Maria stood in Emma's doorway, watching her daughter sleep beneath the steady blue pulse of the NeuroWave router. For the first time, she noticed how the LED seemed to synchronize with Emma's breathing pattern, or was Emma's breathing synchronizing with the LED? The thought sent ice through Maria's veins. Maria's first call was to Emma's pediatrician, Dr. Jennifer Kim. After a thorough examination, Dr. Kim found nothing physically wrong. "Her reflexes are normal, her cognitive responses are technically within range," Dr. Kim explained. "But you're right, there's something different about her effect. Has there been any major change in her environment recently?" Maria mentioned the new Wi-Fi system, half expecting Dr. Kim to dismiss it as an overprotective parent's paranoia. Instead, Dr. Kim leaned forward with interest. "What frequency does it operate on?" Maria realized she didn't know. That evening, she dug through the NeuroWave Ultra technical specifications, looking for frequency information. What she found made her blood run cold. The device operated on 40 to 60 Hz frequencies, the exact range of human gamma brain waves, the frequencies associated with consciousness, attention, and cognitive binding. But it wasn't just using those frequencies. According to the technical documentation, it was dynamically modulating neural adjacent frequencies for optimal cognitive synchronization. As a neuroscientist, Maria understood the implications immediately. The device was designed to interfere with brain function. She spent the next 2 days researching NeuroWave Technologies, the company behind the router. What she discovered was even more disturbing. The company was a subsidiary of MindBridge Corporation, a biotech firm specializing in cognitive enhancement technologies. Their patents included research on electromagnetic neural conditioning and frequency-based behavioral modification. Dr. Elena Vasquez, the lead scientist behind the technology, had previously worked on military projects involving non-lethal neurological incapacitation before joining the private sector. Maria found research papers describing how specific electromagnetic frequencies could disrupt normal brain development in children, essentially reprogramming neural pathways during critical developmental windows. The NeuroWave Ultra wasn't just a Wi-Fi router, it was a brain modification device, and Emma had been exposed to its signals for over 2 weeks. Maria convinced Dr. Kim to order an emergency brain scan for Emma. The results confirmed her worst fears. "I've never seen anything like this," Dr. Kim said, pointing to the brain imaging results. Emma's neural activity patterns are abnormal. Her gamma wave patterns are completely synchronized, artificially synchronized. Natural brain rhythms have variability, chaos, creativity. This looks like she's been tuned. The scans showed that Emma's developing neural networks had been fundamentally altered. The spontaneous, chaotic neural firing that characterized a healthy, creative child's brain had been replaced by rigid, mechanized patterns. "It's like someone took a jazz orchestra and forced them to play nothing but metronome beats," Dr. Kim explained. "Technically functional, but missing everything that makes it music." That night, Maria made a decision that would change everything. She was going to turn off the NeuroWave system and see what happened. At 11:47 p.m., she quietly unplugged the main router in Emma's room. Within 20 minutes, Emma began screaming. Not crying, screaming. A sound of pure, inhuman distress that brought both Maria and David running. They found Emma sitting bolt upright in bed, her eyes wide with terror, her body convulsing as if she were experiencing withdrawal. "Make it stop!" Emma cried, the first emotional word she'd spoken in 2 weeks. "The quiet. Make it stop." Maria realized with horror that Emma's brain had become dependent on the router's signals. Her daughter was experiencing neurological withdrawal from electromagnetic manipulation. They plugged the router back in, and Emma immediately calmed, returning to her flat, mechanical state. Maria understood the full scope of their nightmare. Emma wasn't just being controlled by the device, she was addicted to it. Her developing brain had been rewired to require the artificial signals to function. They were trapped. The next morning, Maria called NeuroWave Technologies directly, demanding to speak with Dr. Elena Vasquez. "I know what you're doing," Maria said when she finally reached the lead scientist. "I know what your device is doing to my daughter's brain." There was a long pause before Dr. Vasquez responded, her voice calm and clinical. "Dr. Rodriguez, I'm familiar with your work at Portland State. You're a respected neuroscientist. Surely you understand the potential benefits of optimized neural development." "Benefits? You've turned my daughter into a zombie." "We prefer the term cognitively optimized. Emma's brain is now operating at peak efficiency. No wasted neural energy on unnecessary emotional volatility or chaotic creative processes. She'll be capable of incredible focus, perfect memory retention, optimal problem-solving abilities." Maria felt sick. She's 8 years old. She's supposed to have emotional volatility. She's supposed to be chaotic and creative. Old-fashioned thinking, Dr. Rodriguez. We're creating the next generation of human intelligence. Emma is part of a pilot program, one of 50 children whose cognitive development we're enhancing through targeted electromagnetic conditioning. You're experimenting on children without consent. The consent was embedded in your terms of service agreement. All very legal, I assure you. Emma's brain patterns will stabilize within another month. After that, she'll be capable of intellectual feats beyond anything a normal child could achieve. Maria realized with growing horror that this wasn't an accident, it was an intentional program. NeuroWave was systematically targeting children during critical brain development periods, turning them into what they considered optimized humans. "I'm disconnecting the device," Maria said. "I wouldn't recommend that, Dr. Rodriguez. Emma's brain has adapted to our frequency patterns. Sudden disconnection could cause permanent neurological damage, or worse." Maria hung up, her hands shaking. They were trapped in an impossible situation. Keeping the device would allow Emma's transformation to continue until her natural personality was completely erased. But disconnecting it might cause irreversible brain damage. That afternoon, she made a desperate call to Dr. Michael Chen, a colleague who specialized in electromagnetic effects on neural tissue. Dr. Chen's response was immediate and alarming. "You need to get Emma away from that device immediately, but you need to do it gradually. We're talking about neurological deconditioning, like helping someone recover from drug addiction, except the drug is electromagnetic radiation." Working together, Maria and Dr. Chen developed a plan. They would slowly reduce Emma's exposure to the neurowave signals by incrementally decreasing the router's power output and gradually moving Emma farther from the device. But they needed to work quickly. Dr. Chen's research suggested that after 30 days of exposure, the neural changes might become permanent. They had been exposed for 18 days. They had less than 2 weeks to save Emma's mind. The process was agonizing. Each reduction in signal strength caused Emma distress, headaches, confusion, moments of terror when her artificially structured thoughts began to fragment back toward natural chaos. But slowly, wonderfully, Emma began to return. On day 22, she asked her first question in weeks, "Mama, why do I feel so strange?" On day 25, she laughed at one of David's terrible jokes. On day 28, she drew her first creative picture since the installation, a messy, colorful, beautiful depiction of their family as superheroes. By day 30, they had completely disconnected from NeuroWave, and Emma was sleeping peacefully without any electromagnetic signals in her room. Maria's follow-up brain scans showed that Emma's neural patterns were gradually returning to normal childhood variability and creativity, though some traces of the artificial synchronization remained. The next day, Maria filed reports with the FCC, FDA, and FBI. Her documentation of NeuroWave's illegal human experimentation sparked a federal investigation that ultimately shut down the company and led to criminal charges against Dr. Vasquez and her team. But 49 other families hadn't been as fortunate as the Rodriguez family. Those children, whose exposure had exceeded the critical 30-day window, remained permanently altered, their natural creativity and emotional spontaneity replaced forever by mechanical efficiency. Emma recovered almost completely, though Maria noticed that her daughter remained unusually sensitive to electromagnetic fields. Wi-Fi routers, cell phones, and other devices would sometimes cause Emma headaches or moments of confusion, a permanent reminder of what they'd almost lost. The Rodriguez family now lives in a house with hardwired internet connections and no wireless devices. Emma thrives in this low-EMF environment, her creativity and curiosity fully restored, though she sometimes has nightmares about the quiet time when the router controlled her thoughts. Maria's research into electromagnetic effects on developing brains has led to new safety regulations for consumer electronics. But she knows that somewhere, in some laboratory or corporate boardroom, other people are developing new ways to use invisible signals to reshape human consciousness. The next time you see a child sitting unusually quietly near a router, the next time you notice a sudden change in behavior after installing new wireless equipment, the next time technology promises to optimize your family's life, remember Emma's story. Not all connections are safe. Not all signals carry just information. And sometimes, the most dangerous threats are the ones you can't see, can't hear, and can't feel, until it's too late. The electromagnetic spectrum surrounds us constantly, invisibly shaping our thoughts and behaviors in ways we're only beginning to understand. And in our rush to stay connected, we might be losing the very thing that makes us human, the beautiful, chaotic, creative noise of an uncontrolled mind. Keep your children close. Keep your devices distant. And remember, in our wireless world, silence isn't always golden, sometimes, it's the sound of a mind being stolen.